Hello and welcome to this BuyBotPro video. So today I'm going to tell you why subcategory BSR is important and why you should pay attention to it. So as you know, BSR in general is a very important factor to take into consideration before you go ahead with an item, and it's something you should definitely look at in every single deal analysis. And there's multiple places in BuyBotPro where you can see things to do with the main BSR. If you don't know what BSR is, that stands for bestseller rank, and it's basically how well an item performs in Amazon. So let's say within toys and games, for example, that's what we're on now. Let's say there's 100,000 items within that category. Okay, so the item at number 100,000 is performing the worst, it's hardly selling, it's not very popular. The item at number 1 is doing the best, it's the most popular, etc, etc. So the closer you are to 1, the better. Now in BuyBotPro you can see the BSR in the details section, so it's going to show you where exactly it is right here. It's got the BSR percentage predictor as well, so it predicts that it's going to remain within the top 1% of this item's category. You can also see the BSR in the main sales chart here, so you can see how that's fluctuated. But then you have another chart that you can take a look at, which is the main and subcategory BSR values chart. Now you might be thinking, well, I know the main category BSR, that's all I need to know. No, you also need to know the subcategory BSR as well. That can be just as important and as much of a deciding factor as the main BSR itself. So we can see here within toys and games, this particular item can be found in building sets. Just as another random example, you would have a blender in home and kitchen, but within home and kitchen, that blender will also be found in jug blenders. Now you need to know obviously how well it performs in its main category compared to everything else in that main category. How does it stand up against everything else in toys and games? But you also need to know how well it does in building sets and if it's going to be worthwhile, because it might seem to do well in the main category, but in the subcategory it might be, you know, closer to the bottom of the pile than what you think. And so what this chart here does, it means you get a real in-depth view into the BSR and what exactly is going on. So the same as the other charts, if you hover over any point, it gives you a little breakdown box there which shows you what exactly was going on at that point in time for the item. And so as you move along, you can see how that information has fluctuated, and it works exactly the same. So the closer you are to 1 within the building sets, the better. So we can see here, obviously BSR wise, this has done really well. If you don't know how to read this line, what you want is for it to be as close to the bottom of the chart as possible, because that means a lower number. So you want it to spend more time down there than up there. And you also want lots of movement as well, because more movement means there's been more sales. For every bit of movement, that means there's been at least one sale for the item. It could be more than one, but it's been at least one. So it works the same for the subcategory line as well, so you can check out how that's been working, and if the main category and the subcategory line up. So we can see that in this case it does. It's been doing really well within building sets at number 20 at 1.17. That is super close to 1. That is amazing. So within building sets, this was super popular and remains super popular as well. As we scroll along, we can see that it consistently remains at a good position within building sets. And if you imagine how many building sets that are out there, then that is good news. But alternatively, if we skip that, we might have seen that it has done well in toys and games, but then we might have seen that within building sets, again, it was towards the bottom of the pile, and that might not have been so great for us. So it's always safe just to have a little check of this main and subcategory BSR values chart, and just make sure you know in detail how well the item is performing. Hopefully this has helped you understand this chart a little bit more on why the subcategory BSR is something to pay attention to. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.